In the distant past, on the plains of Arabia, lived a ruthless civilization. So violent and contemptuous were they that they walked on the land claiming women as possessions, with the blood of infant females dripping from their hands. Their world was rife with tribal war, and many suffered. On the 17th of Rabi' al-Awwal, in the year 571 AD, a boy was born who was to change the course of history for mankind. He grew up living a simple life, married to the Lady Khadija. It was in a dark cave on the rocky face of Mount Hira that he received his first revelation, and thus Islam was born to the Prophet Muhammad. However, his quest to spread Islam was long and arduous. In the beginning, the Prophet had but a handful of followers. Together, they met fierce challenges with the ignorant Arabs. They were mocked, persecuted, and finally excluded from society by being boycotted. Patience and faith in Allah got them through the 3 long years during which the boycott lasted. However, Allah did not abandon his loyal followers. He granted Prophet Muhammad a heavenly journey, the night journey, to see the glories and wonders of the heavens and the fiery pits of hell. In this journey he received the ruling of the 5 wajib prayers, and upon his descent back to earth appointed Imam Ali as his successor. Things began looking up for the Prophet and his companions. They had migrated to Medina, and there, together, they built the first Muslim mosque, Masjid an-Nabawi. It was a successful first year for the Muslims. However, the peace was short-lived. The Meccans were growing restless with the Muslims, and the first battle, the Battle of Badr, began. Prophet Muhammad commanded a well-disciplined army of 313 men, while the Quraysh boasted 900. Nevertheless, the Quraysh forces were weak, and the battle was over in a few hours, the Muslims victorious. This was shortly followed by another battle, however, unfortunately with a different end. The Muslim archers, tempted by greed, disobeyed orders given by the Prophet and left their posts to loot the Meccan camp, costing the Muslim army the battle. Years passed, during which the pilgrimage of Hajj became wajib. The Prophet gathered 1,400 Muslims, and they proceeded on the holy journey for the first time. Soon after, a peace treaty between the Prophet and the Quraysh was finally agreed. Islam soon began to spread beyond Medina. More battles were fought and won. The Prophet began a conquest for Mecca, which saw the Quraysh surrender. He could now clean the house of Allah, the holy Kaaba, from the stone idols that had resided within. By the year 10 after Hijrah, Arabia had embraced Islam. The Prophet's life began coming to an end, and he knew this. In preparation, he performed a farewell Hajj. To his faithful Muslim followers, he left behind the Holy Quran and his Ahlul Bayt, and appointed Imam Ali as his successor. On the 28th of Safar, at 63 years old, the Holy Prophet, who had beautifully portrayed the role of a son, father, husband, grandfather, and messenger of God to the world, passed away. Grief imprisoned the hearts of the Ahlul Bayt. It was Imam Ali who had a very intimate relationship with the Prophet, who gave the ghusl of burial and read the funeral prayers. He knew his role was now to lead the Muslims as the Prophet had requested. However, some of his companions had other ideas. Ignoring the late Prophet's commands, they decided to elect a leader for themselves. I tolerated those periods as if there was a thorn in my eye and a sharp bone stuck in my throat. Powerful words by Imam Ali reflecting the deep anguish and pain he felt at how he was being treated by the Muslim people. The Ahlul Bayt was met by a very dark period. The Prophet had a daughter, the Lady Fatima. So precious was she to him that he had described her as the mother of her father. So beautiful and elegant and high in Islamic status was she that the Prophet had entrusted her to none other than Imam Ali. And yet, so overcome with hate and rage with the opposition towards Islam that even she was not spared. Her home was devoured by vicious flames that left not a thing standing in their wake. The lady fought for her life and tried to protect herself. However, her efforts were all in vain, as she was crushed between a heavy door and a wall, resulting in the fatality of her unborn child. She died as a young woman at the tender age of 18. After the ruling of Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, Imam Ali finally became Khalif. His Islamic rule lasted for 4 years, after which his son Imam Hassan became successor. However, like his father, he found his authority was challenged and war threatened to break out. It was Muawiyah who fiendishly sabotaged Imam Hassan's attempt at the Khilafah. A peace treaty was offered. In order to prevent unnecessary bloodshed, it was accepted. The treaty stated that Imam Hassan was to be successor after Muawiyah. However, Muawiyah had other plans. He longed for something sweeter. He engorged himself with the idea of the Imam's death, an idea he intended to make a reality. And what sweeter death than that from the hands of the person you love? Muawiyah lured the Imam's wife aside and cloaked her in false promises of riches and the hand of his son Yazid in marriage, in exchange for the Imam's life. Blinded by greed, the wife accepted. She poisoned her husband, Imam Hassan, and to Muawiyah's delight, the holy Imam died. The wife was later scorned, ridiculed, and in the end received nothing. Imam Hassan's brother, Imam Hussein, became his spiritual heir and rightful successor. However, Muawiyah had already passed on the Khalifa rule to his son Yazid. Yazid was a spoilt, egotistical narcissist of a man. Like his father, becoming successor was not enough. The knife Muawiyah had stabbed into the back of the Ahl Bayt was not painful enough for Yazid. He intended to twist that knife and watch them writhe beneath him. He demanded an oath of allegiance from Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein declared he would never bow to the likes of Yazid, declared his opposition to him, and left for Kufa with his family to gather his supporters. Yet Yazid was a wicked and villainous man. He prepared a devastating army and sent them to go after the Imam and his family and return either with his allegiance or his head. Karbala was the land where Yazid's army caught up with Imam Hussein and his small band of family and companions. What followed was a tragic and painful episode. Yazid's army cut off the water supply, leaving the children weeping for but a drop of water. The Imam's men fought bravely and courageously, but, alas, their bodies lay decapitated and strewn across the desert floor, while the women and children could do nothing but watch on in horror. A few days after the battle, Yazid could be seen sat comfortably on his throne, holding a long wooden stick which he used to jab at Imam Hussein's head, which was mounted decoratively beside him. The same head that belonged to a man the Holy Prophet cherished and adored. So much love did the Prophet have for his grandson that he had given him the prestigious title of leader of the youth of paradise. And yet Yazid had the audacity to beat the same face the Prophet kissed. Meanwhile, in the pits of Yazid's dungeons, the women and children wept and called out the names of the loved ones they had lost in the tragic battle of Karbala.